Pleasure to be joined once again by the voice of the Chanticleers, Joe Cashion, good friend of mine. Joe, we go way back with our days back in the Big South together, and finally, it's official. This bowl game is going to happen, and this rivalry will be renewed. Good to see you again. Happy holidays. What are your Christmas plans with the family?
Alan, it's good to be back with you, and it's great that we are going to play this game. Yeah, we're going to do this thing this week, but Christmas plans are going to be kind of by ear, to be honest with you. You know, just do the best we can. We're going to have a Christmas Eve thing at church. We're going to go to that, and then we're going to have a nice meal, and then we're going to get up Christmas morning and spend some time together, eat some breakfast, and then I hit the road to Orlando and meet up with Chris Bergen. I think another mutual friend of ours. I think we both know him very well, and he, of course, is on our broadcast team, and we're going to travel on down and link up with a couple of other guys and spend the night there in Orlando and get ready Saturday morning, get up and go set up and broadcast the game. So that's kind of be what it's like for me.
Now, for those of you watching and listening to this interview, this is take 2 with Joe. We had a really good back in the day memory vault, if you will, conversation a couple of weeks back before our December 5th matchup. So for those of you that want some memories of this rivalry, go back and search our previous podcast that we loaded with Joe a couple of weeks back. The irony is tremendous with this game, Joe. COVID issues at Liberty back in December, early December, canceling this game. Y'all play BYU, and then Sunbelt Championship canceled because of coastal COVID issues. How healthy is this team entering this game this weekend, Joe?
From a COVID standpoint, I think we're pretty good, honestly. From a health standpoint, you know, we're a little bit banged up. You know, the BYU game, as great as it was for that thing to materialize and for them to make their way across country and us to play that game and to win it, that was a physical game for us. And we got kind of beat up a little bit. I mean, we had some guys that we held out of the subsequent Troy game the next week, you know, but I guess if there is a blessing in disguise for us not playing Louisiana for the conference championship last week because of our COVID problems, hopefully it helped us get, you know, some guys back up to speed, you know, little bumps and bruises here and there, guys that might not have been 100%. Hopefully they'll be a little bit more ready to go, you know, in this game. That's what Jamie is indicating to me, our coach, Jamie Chadwell. So, you know, it is what it is this time of the year. We have been extremely fortunate to stay away from that big-time, devastating injury to one of our frontline guys. I mean, we've had a phenomenal year, as everybody knows, but, I mean, we're not in a position yet where we can take a lot of hits and lose guys. And, you know, we are about as good as we probably could be coming into this one.
Yeah, knock on wood, Liberty's the same case. They have dodged that injury bug that a lot of teams go through during the season. Could not dodge the COVID, but all indications are that Liberty is completely healthy. All the coaches are back practicing, and we look forward to a great matchup on Saturday. You mentioned the BYU game. I do want to touch on that Troy game in a minute, but the experience with game day, the Liberty fans, our team missed out on that experience. What was that like for the coastal community there in Conway to have game day there? And then, lo and behold, how that game ended up just at the 1-inch line for you guys beating BYU. Take me back to that Saturday, December 5th, and what that was like for this coastal community.
It was magical, Alan. I mean, and again, I hate that it couldn't have been, you know, Coastal and Liberty, you know, to share that moment. But I mean, for us, in terms of the exposure that we got, not just, you know, for our program, but for the community, for our university, athletics as a whole. I mean, you can't even really put a price tag on it. I mean, I know our athletics administration, our university administration, I mean, it was unbelievable to have that there in our stadium. You know, if I'm looking out of my broadcast booth and there they are, like right over there, I'm like, you know, the things I thought I would never see in this place is game day right over there in that corner. And there they were. And I mean, it was a 3-hour extravaganza, and a lot of it was centered on us, you know? And I mean, you can't quantify that really, honestly, until we start seeing the applications come in, and then maybe you can. But I mean, it was just a phenomenal morning. I wish, you know, I mean, if we could have had a bigger crowd, obviously, to come out and cheer, you know, typically, you know, not in a COVID kind of world, you would have a bunch of people running around, and we had some people, but I mean, it was great in terms of the people that we could have. I mean, I wish we could have packed out a section of the stadium and had the campus full of people. as it is, it was still great for that exposure. And then the game itself, I mean, more than really lived up to the billing. I mean, it was kind of like, okay, can we hang with this crowd? I mean, we were a 10.5-point underdog going in, and nobody except for DJ picked us in the picks that morning. And it's kind of like, okay, can we do this? Can we hang on to the ball and keep them off the field and make it happen? And as the game kind of wore on, the better we felt and the more like you knew this was going to be a game that went down to the wire. And of course it did. And like you mentioned, we stopped them right on the doorstep, 3 seconds left, 18 yards away, and they hit that pass. And we had a guy that when we really didn't have the right defenders on the field. The funny part of it is we really didn't have the right defensive set in there. I mean, because we weren't really expecting them to be where they were. We were looking for a Hail Mary kind of thing. But we had some defenders out there, but they were more than up to being able to stop the play. So it happened and we won, and it was just a phenomenal day and evening.
Joined by Joe Cashion, radio voice of Coastal Carolina. Joe, you win that game on the 5th. So emotional, even emotional for Liberty. That entire week, even watching the game, I mean, for the fans and for the media that follow Liberty, that was emotional, watching that game back and forth. And I can't speak for many Liberty fans, but as close as we are to Coastal and the community and the games we've had, I think there was some Liberty fans that might have been cheering for Coastal just for, the underdog winning the game. I can't speak for our fans, but I know I was sitting there watching, hoping Joe Cashion has a good call. And we're friends with Matt Hogue. And so from that perspective, I'm glad you guys won that game. The next week, Troy, 42-38. What went into that game, and how emotionally challenging do you think it was for Jamie Chadwell to get your team off that high against BYU, then having to travel and make up that game with Troy? Because that went right down to the wire as well.
That was a fascinating week. And, it was just anybody that kind of followed us that week and listened to what Coach Chadwell had to say, that we were really kind of sideways about the league making us go play that game. Yeah, it was on the schedule. Okay. But the circumstances were that, there we were knocking on the doorstep again of being right there in the college football playoff for the New Year's Six. And no Sun Belt team had ever been that close. But no one's ever been right there. We had already won the division, the East Division of the Sun Belt. There was really no purpose for us to go do that other than, the league wanted us to go play the game. And I get that it's on the schedule and you got to play the games that are on your schedule. I understand that. I got it, but Jamie was Jamie was adamant the entire week, and I think our players felt that way. A lot of our coaches felt that way. And I'll be honest with you, around the team hotel Saturday morning, I did not have a good vibe. I thought, you know what, we're going to be in a real fight here today because, number one, Troy is talented. Now, their record isn't that great. They were average, but they still have guys that can play, and we get in this game with them and we jump on them in a hurry, and I was like, and as the game and the day developed, they just kept coming. They just kept coming. And then, Grayson made a mistake in the fourth quarter there that, it turns out to be a blessing in disguise. It gave them a short field, which gave us time to go have a chance to win. But, we get the ball back with 1:20 and no timeouts, and we're down 3 and 75 yards away, and we're talking, hey, can we extend this game? And the next thing boom, 45 seconds. We're not extending the game. We're winning it. And Grayson just took us down there and won it. So we were fortunate with everything, the atmosphere and the attitude around that game, having to go play it. And, one of those days you just have to fight through. You've seen it, as good as Liberty's been, you've seen days where, you expect to go out there and boat race somebody, and it just doesn't happen. You just got to find a way to win. Our guys found a way to win.
Joined by Joe Cashion, radio voice of Coastal Carolina, Liberty, and the Chanticleers, kicking off 7:30 Saturday in the Cure Bowl. First ever bowl game for Coastal, back-to-back trips to Orlando for Liberty. Not making it to a New Year's Six game, Joe. Do you think there are players on this team for Coastal that will not get over that? And how do you get over that hurdle and just put that in the rearview mirror for this team coming up on Saturday?
I guess we'll find out Saturday if we could put it in the rear view mirror. You know, honestly, in my opinion, I think our senior leadership in that locker room, hopefully we got over that, pretty quickly. You know, hopefully those guys understand that, as a G5, if you don't get that auto bid, I know this just because I've seen it so many times. If you don't get the auto bid, you can forget it, honestly. It's just not going to happen. You're just going to have to hope for the best. And this game is a top 25 matchup outside the New Year's Six, and there are not many of those around. So I'm hoping that our coaches, and our senior leaders who have done such a great job in that locker room this season and really buying into what Coach Chadwell has been selling and what he's been trying to establish from a culture standpoint, will pick our guys up or have done that already and said, look, guys, we got one more game to play, whether it's a New Year's Six, whether it's college football playoff, or whether it's an old rival that we would love to go settle some scores with in a bowl game, our first ever bowl game. We got to go be ready to play. It doesn't matter, what the circumstances are, what the situation scenario is. We got to be ready, and hopefully that will be the case.
Final thought here, John. I'll let you go. What do you think from an X's and O's standpoint for Coastal? What do you think the game plan is going to be entering this game on Saturday?
I think for us, it's the recipe that we've used all year long offensively. It's run the option, run the RPO game, control the clock. That's what Jamie Chadwell wants to do. Grayson has done a great job of doing that for our offense this season, getting the ball in the right places, running the option, and then knowing where to go down the field with it, controlling the clock, keeping our defense, off the field, even though we've got a great defense this season. I don't want Malik Willis running around out there throwing that ball and running it. And I imagine Jamie feels the same way. So it's eat the clock, score some points, get some stops, and hopefully come away with a win.
Yeah, my key is going to be third down conversions, both offensively and defensively. Yeah. As you mentioned, both teams love to churn that clock, and the time of possession will be definitely key on Saturday. Joe Cashion, good partner and friend of the Liberty Flame Sports Network, and likewise, look forward to catching up with you, Joe. Let us know if you need anything before Saturday, and we'll give you an elbow bump when we see you there at Camping World Stadium, okay?
Looking forward to it, Alan. Great to catch up with you always, and great that our first bowl experience will be against Liberty. This should be a lot of fun.